Napoleon is the kind of person who is really stewing his own ambitions in a society which is deeply hierarchical and isn't ever going to let someone like him.
History is full of gaps that change everything we think we know. In 2021, a scientific team examined Napoleon Bonaparte's skull and reported a device embedded inside an object no one could explain with 19th century technology. That single finding casts new light on his meteoric rise, strange habits, and mysterious death, and it raises a larger, unsettling question: how much of human progress has been guided by forces outside ourselves? This film follows the evidence, the controversy, and the implications. The missing 1,794 days. In July 1794, a 25-year-old Napoleon Bonaparte vanished for roughly 72 hours during the Thermidorian upheaval that toppled Robespierre. He later said he'd been arrested, yet the revolutionary bureaucracy obsessive about paperwork left no arrest record, no prison entry, no trace. Letters notice his absence. Regimental logs show a blank where his duties should have been. Then he returned, subtly changed. Within a year, he commanded the army of Italy. Within a decade, he crowned himself emperor. His grasp of movement, deception, and timing looked decades ahead of his era, as if he could model complex battles in his head and update them in real time. Historians blame missing documents or chaos for the unexplained GAP. But if an intervention happened during those days, if something was implanted, his transformation takes on a disturbing clarity. Discovery in the skull. Napoleon died on St. Helena on May 5, 1821, officially of stomach cancer. His symptoms were messy and partly contradictory: severe abdominal pain, weeks of constipation, vomiting, long bouts of hiccups, and blood clots. Doctors dosed him with calomel, a mercury compound. The day before he died, they gave a massive amount, after which he declined swiftly. In 1840, France returned his remains to Paris and entombed them at Les Invalides. Later hair tests reporting high arsenic-fueled poisoning theories, countered by evidence that arsenic saturated 19th century life in medicines, pigments, and cosmetics, and by a family history of gastric disease. The debate simmered for generations. In 2021, Dr. André Dubois led a multidisciplinary examination of the skeleton, expecting to settle questions about health and height. While tracing the skull's interior, he felt a smooth, precise protrusion. Under magnification, it wasn't bone, but metal, a half-inch rectangular object with circuit-like etchings. Imaging showed bone had grown around its osseointegration that takes years, proving the device had been implanted in life, likely when Napoleon was young. It sat over the region of the prefrontal cortex, which governs planning, decision-making, and abstract reasoning. Non-destructive analysis suggested alloys and microfabrication tolerances, unknown in the early 19th century and difficult even now. Internal structures resembled active components capable of reading or modulating neural signals. If functional, the device could have interfaced directly with Napoleon's brain, enhancing the very capacities that defined his genius. Could the procedure have occurred during the missing days of 1794? And if so, by whom and why? Signs, strategy, and death. Napoleon's signature pose right hand tucked into his waistcoat has been explained as fashion, Masonic symbolism, or a way to soothe stomach pain. Dubois' team suggested a physiological link to the implant. The brain's electrical activity travels through neural pathways to the body. The vagus nerve influences heart rhythm. If the device amplified prefrontal activity during intense concentration, unusual cardiac sensations could follow: palpitations, irregular rhythms, a racing heartbeat. Contemporary notes mention Napoleon complaining of such feelings under stress. The hand over heart, repeated most in portraits of planning and campaign scenes, may have been an unconscious response to those episodes, an outward sign of an invisible interface. His campaigns read like case studies in augmented cognition. At Austerlitz in 1805, he baited the Allies with a visibly weakened flank, concealed major formations in dead ground, and struck from multiple directions at a chosen moment, timing and coordination that modern staffs simulate with computers. At Jena Auerstedt, he split forces and still defeated two Prussian armies the same day. At Wagram, he orchestrated the largest European bombardment to rupture a single critical seam. Genius can account for much. Experience and reading explain more. Yet the precision and mental load required tracking, dispersed core, synchronizing convergences, and updating plans in real time with only couriers seem beyond normal human bandwidth for that era. If the device expanded working memory, accelerated processing, or enabled rapid mental simulations, these impossibly modern maneuvers look less like miracles and more like enhanced computation inside a human brain. Viewed through this lens, his death also changes. The body resists foreign objects. Even modern implants provoke immune tension. For decades, the device may have operated within a delicate equilibrium. Exile on St. Helena removed the stimulus of command, the intense cognitive states that might have stabilized the interface. A degrading device could create system-wide inflammation. Clots, erratic heart signals, lingering exhaustion. Persistent hiccups suggest irritation of the phrenic nerve near the brainstem, where misfiring signals could trigger spasms. Then came the calomel. On May 4, 1821, doctors administered an enormous dose of mercurous chloride. Mercury reacts with many metals. If it interacted with elements inside the implant, the result could have been catastrophic. He declined rapidly and died the next day. The autopsy focused on the ravaged stomach, consistent with cancer and mercury damage, while no one inspected the skull's interior for impossible technology. Who steers history? If the device exists and its fabrication outstrips Napoleonic technology, who made it? Abduction accounts controversial and often dismissed share features that echo Napoleon's 1794 gap. Missing time, return with scant memory, altered capacities. The revolution created a fluid moment when one enhanced actor could redirect an entire continent. Dubois noted a wider pattern: world-shaping leaders with biographical gaps or uncanny leaps. Alexander's journey to Siwa, Caesar's pirate captivity, Genghis Khan's formative imprisonment, re-emerging with abilities that rewrote their worlds. If an external intelligence has occasionally augmented pivotal figures, human development may not be purely organic. History's great leaps could be guided nudges. A parallel mystery deepens the suspicion. For 2 centuries, collectors have chased Napoleon relics, locks of hair, bone fragments, even the notorious organ allegedly removed at autopsy. In recent decades, authenticated biological samples have quietly vanished from estates and archives. Auctions were preceded by sudden losses, museum drawers turned up empty. After Dubois' preliminary notes appeared, pressure mounted. Officials sought his data. Foreign institutions offered funding tied to shutting down the project. Collaborators received lucrative offers, contingent on leaving. Public claims insisted no post-184, zero exhumation ever occurred. Then Dubois disappeared from view. Was the device a hoax, a cleanup by extraterrestrials, a classified program consolidating evidence, or an older network managing revelations about contact? Whatever the truth, the implications are stark. If Napoleon's victories were demonstrations of augmented cognition rather than pure native brilliance, they don't erase his will or charisma, they reframe them. Great man. History would become a record of hybrid actors, human judgment operating with non-human support. Why enhance conquerors? Rapid territorial expansion forces accelerated integration of laws, languages, and technologies. History's fast-forward button. And if it happened once, why assume it stopped? In a global age, enhanced individuals could steer finance, technology, culture, or geopolitics without leaving obvious traces. Skeptics call the 2021 study fiction. Others see a sustained effort to bury a disruptive discovery. What do you believe, and whose remains should science examine next? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Epic Dive for more amazing documentaries.